Hello, I'm Pixie Mikey from Pixiephonic, and I've been asked from Chris from Faerie and Fae World UK to tell you a story. Now, speaking of Chris, I'd just like to dedicate this story to his mum. It would have been her birthday today, and apparently she likes stories about King Arthur. Well, this one's not about King Arthur, but there is a king and a couple of queens, I think, in it. So anyway, let me begin. Are you sitting comfortably? Well, long, long ago, not so long that the trees are forgotten, but long enough for the grass to stop gossiping about it.
I thought it happened the other day.
Okay. Far, far away in a galaxy, far, far away.
Hold on, that's Star Wars.
Are you telling the story? Am I telling the story? I'll do my story, okay? Okay, so it actually happened on May Day. If anyone knows, May Day, Beltane is what some people call it. It was May Day. It was May the 1st. And because of lockdown, everyone in the band Pixiephonic, and if you don't know about the band Pixiephonic, can I suggest you type in www.pixiephonic.com and have a look, or go through the Fae and Faerie World UK and see some of our performances that we've done on there. But anyway, that's beyond the point. It was Beltane morning. That's it. That's where we were in the story. And because of lockdown, all the members of Pixiephonic, the band, had to live in what we call Toadstool HQ, which is a big toadstool in the middle of the magical forest of Alforia. Anyway, so the people in the band, there was me, and there was Daisy, and there was Princess Leia the dog, and there was Simon the high elf, and there was Lee, the metronome, the bass player. And then there was my dad on the drums, who we call Alan Druid, or Papa Love sometimes. And then there was Donna LaFay. And as it was Beltane, we knew that we had to get up early in the morning. So we'd all gone to bed early the night before. We'd all got into our big bed all together. Dad and Alan and Donna were all cuddled up. Me and Daisy and the dog were cuddled up over here, and Simon and Lee, because they had to fit into the bed together, were both sitting what they call tops and towels. Is that right? So Simon's smelly socks were pointing out and poking in Lee's face. And there was lots of snoring and a bit of farting and the usual thing that goes on when you're in bed. And everyone was asleep. And suddenly, I woke up. And I heard a strange noise. And it wasn't snoring. And it wasn't the usual sound of the dog sneaking out and nicking something from the kitchen. It was some strange banging sound. And I looked round, and everyone was still sleeping. And I thought, wow, I better go and check what that is. So I jumped out of bed, and I went into the kitchen. I hobbled on me walking stick into the kitchen, and I could still hear this strange banging noise. It seemed to be coming from outside. So I pulled open the curtains of Toadstool HQ kitchen, and all I could see, really far down the bottom of the garden, even with my funny eyes, I could see, I don't know, was that fire or flames or something was going on down there. But I thought I'd better go and check it out, because you never know, someone could be down the bottom of the garden in Dad and Donna's in vegetable patch, maybe stealing the kind of mushrooms that we're growing. Anyway, I decided to go down the garden. I went outside, hobbled down the garden, and as I got closer and closer, I realised there was some fires, but in front of them, seemed to be lots of people standing there. Loads of them. I've never seen so many. As I got closer and closer, I realised there was a whole army full of people standing there, all dressed in tree bark armour and holding rose petal shields, and they had holding rose petal shields with nettle banners, and I could see it was an army of fairy folk. There was goblins with big hats on, and then there was elves, and there was pixies, and there was even people on the fairies on the back of unicorns. They'd even wheeled in a big tank of mermaids, all dressed in armour. Well, as I got closer and closer, they all saw me. And they all pointed their different weapons that they had and pointed towards me. And one of them shouted, "Halt! Don't go there. Oh, what are you doing?" Or something like that. I can't remember. Anyway, I couldn't run away in time, my legs. So I just had to kind of stand there and freeze. Anyway, one of them came out from behind the front of the wall of the army. He said, "Fairies, tie him up." And suddenly, all these little fairies danced around me, around and around with cobwebs, and pulled me all close, and I couldn't move, and they was all tangled up, and they started to lead me behind the front line. And I went past, and when I got there, I could see that it wasn't just a front line. There was rows and rows and rows of army and of fairies and pixies all ready and all preparing for a great war, it looked like. Anyway, right in the middle was a tent, and I was brought up to this tent. There was 2 guards standing there. Looked like Spriggans, they were. They were standing there, and they were like, "Hold on a minute. Why are you coming in here?" And the person who had brought me along said, "Well, we found him on the front line. I think the king and the queen need to speak to him." I was taken inside the tent, and there in the middle was a table. It looked like a map of Britain. And there, in front of me, and I'd seen them before, I recognised them, there was Queen Titania and King Oberon. And Titania, usually when I'd seen her on the fairy marches, she'd all lovely dressed in lovely fine robes. But this time, she had armour on, big plated armour, and a hat, big like, what are they called? Helmets, that's it, over her head. And even Oberon looked even more scarier than he usually does. And he was there in all his great shining elven armour. I was led up, and standing next to them was someone who I did recognise. An old friend of mine, old Puck. Puck from the forest. Puck the Dreamweaver. What's his other name? Robin Goodfellow, some people know him as. Anyway, he works for Oberon. "Who is this?" Oberon said, "and why has he been brought to me?" And Puck said, "Well, you must recognise him, your grace, or your majesty. You must recognise him. He is Pixie Mikey, from that band, Pixiephonic. You remember, the ones who won Fairyland's Got Talent. Do you remember? And their prize was to go over into the other world and the other realm, the realm of the humans, and tell them all about the trees, and tell them all about the mushrooms, and all about where they grow, and all about cups of tea, and all the brilliant things and magical things in life." "Well," Oberon said, "I'm not very happy with you then, because have you seen what's gone on out there? You're supposed to be going out there telling the humans all about how great the trees are and how we need to look after our Mother Earth. And have you seen the state of the place?" Titania beckoned me closer and said, "Have a look at this." And as she rose up her arm, she pointed to the back where there was a picture. And that picture slowly turned into a different picture, a swirly smoke. And in that picture, I saw Mother Earth, and I saw how horrible the humans had been. I saw plastic in the sea. I saw trees being torn down. I saw planes polluting the planet. I saw all these things going wrong, and humans just letting it happen, thinking they couldn't do anything about it. "Well, what have you got to say for yourself?" King Oberon said. "Aren't you supposed to be helping stop this?" "I've tried my best," I said. "I've tried everything I could do. I've got my raggle-taggle band of pixies with me, and we go to loads of fairy festivals and things, and still the humans, they just want to do what they don't care. They don't seem to care about anything. There's a few documentaries that tell them about it. They get all upset for a bit and join extinction rebellions, but then they still just carry on with their life as normal. What do I do, your majesty?" "Well, it's too late now," he said. "Because we've got our army. We're going to march on the humans. And by the next morning, we would have claimed this earth for ourselves, and we would have made the humans be our slaves and do what we want, and then they have to look after." "Well, that's not right," I said. You can't make them slaves. You can't make them do what you want." "Well, it's too late now. If we don't do it, they're just going to destroy the earth, and none of us can have it. None of the badgers, none of the dogs, all of the creatures. We'll all perish and disappear, all because of what the humans are doing." Oh, what's that alarm going? Anyway, what could I do? And then I suddenly thought, my mind started to tick over. I had to act quickly. I've got lots of friends that are humans. I don't want them to become slaves. I don't want them to have to do things. Your Honour, I said, as it's May Day, isn't there an old tradition? Isn't there a tradition that I can ask for a wish off of my king, the king of the fairies, on the 1st of May, on Beltane? Well, yes, that's usually what happens. Is that right, Puck? And Puck was like, well, yeah, yes, Your Honour, that's definitely what happens. That's definitely what's always happened since the dawn of time. That's happened. So, what is your wish then? I'm guessing I'm not. If your wish is that we got to stop this and I won't invade, then I'm not going to do it. And I was like, no. If you can just give me until the next sunset, sunrise on sunset. If you can give me till then, and if I can get you a promise that this won't happen, that they will stop destroying the planet. Would you stop? Would you take your army away? Would you let the humans, not be slaves? Well, you'd have to get it can't just come from you. It can't just come from just any human. It would have to come from someone who's quite important, he said. And if you can get me a promise like that, then maybe I'll think about it. Well, I better think of something, I thought. So I quickly, could you untie me, Puck? He untied me from the cobwebs, and I rushed up the garden. I bashed into Toadstool House, and I thought, I'm going to have to get the guys together for this. I can't do this on my own. I went into the bedroom, and everyone was still sleeping. So, I tried to wake them up, and they didn't wake up. And maybe if you could shout at the screen now, kids, after 3, if we go 1, 2, 3, and then you all shout for them to wake up, they might have woken up, they might wake up. Should we give it a go? Ready? 1, 2, 3, wake up! Still, they didn't wake up. There was only one thing to do, and I knew how to do it. And I ran into the other room and went through Dad's instruments. Now, anyone who knows my dad, he's got a lot of instruments. And right underneath all of it, I found a trumpet. You remember the trumpet thing that you blow? I went into the room, I went right up to the bed, and I blew it as hard as I could. Well, none of them woke up because of Dad's snoring was so loud you couldn't even hear the trumpet, apart from the dog. Princess Leia, sitting over there, that's why I pointed over there. Princess Leia, you're going to come here. Let's have a look. Yeah, who's this? See? Princess Leia here, she woke up. You have to sit over there again. Good girl. She woke up, her ears pointed up, and a trumpet. She started barking, she started growling, she ran around and around on the bed. She woke Simon up. Simon the High Elf shot up out of bed, bashed his head on a bookcase that was above the bed. Dad was still snoring. Donna was shrieking. It was all of a palaver. It was all over the place. Daisy was kind of half asleep. Daisy was like, I better put the kettle on then. And then we all calmed down. We all went into the kitchen and sat down with our teas. Wow, we thought, I explained to everyone what had happened. There's only one thing for it, said Simon the High Elf. We need to get to the HMS Teapot, our ship, and then we can sort this out. We need to go and speak to old Ma. Anyway, I'll talk about her in a minute. We rushed out. Well, we put on some clothes first. There were, we had our pyjamas on. We swapped all our clothes, put our nice outfits on. It took a while. The girls put their makeup on. We had a few more cups of tea. I mean, we were kind of rushing, but not rushing, as fast as pixies can rush. Anyway, we ran outside. And outside, you wouldn't believe what we saw. Now, we see it all the time, but you wouldn't believe it. It was this most amazing thing you've ever seen. It was a teapot with a big balloon above it in the shape of a mushroom. That was Her Majesty's ship. No, her mushroom ship, HMS Teapot. And that was the ship that we go to all the festivals in. You don't usually see it when we're at a festival. We've usually parked it up somewhere, hidden it away. Anyway, we ran out and all got inside. Dad got at the front and the big steering wheel. Donna went and Daisy started to pull pull the thing that makes all the air go in. It started to fill up. Simon the High Elf had his long telescope. And Lee, the metronome, ran to the back and pulled up the anchor. And then we started to slowly float into the sky. "Mushrooms away!" Dad shouted, as he always did. And off we went. Now here is a picture of the ship itself. Hopefully you can see it. You can see there's Dad and Simon there, and there's Daisy, and there's me out the back, falling out the back, and Leia flying along. This was painted by Katie, our friend Katie. Katie Saunders. So I'll definitely put a link after this so you can go to see some of her artwork. Anyway, so we flew along in this ship. We flew high in the sky. Where was we going again? To see Ma. Anyway, we flew over the magical woods that we often go to called Kingly Vale. And down there was a clearing that we always landed in when we went to do our ceremonies and our parties. And Dad slowly brought the ship down and we landed. And I quickly jumped out and ran into the woods, which is where I knew our friend Ma would be. It was very dark. The sun hadn't come up yet. It was a bit scary in the woods. There were some strange noises, and I could hear a very deep breathing. It got louder and louder. It wasn't just breathing. It was like a roar, but not actually a roar. And then suddenly, in the middle of the darkness, two big eyes shot open. "Hello?" it said. "Oh, hello, Ma. Is that Pixie?" "Oh, it's Pixie. Oh, I've been waiting ages for you to come and see me again. Why didn't you come inside? Why didn't you come along with me?" Anyway, being a magical forest, we went to a lovely glade. And the glade wasn't night time. It looked like it was during the day. And there was grass and mushrooms everywhere. And then suddenly I saw the thing that I couldn't see in the dark. And that was what Ma looked like. Ma is a big old dragon. I have a picture of her here. Another picture by Katie. Ma is this beautiful blue dragon here. And you can see this is a picture of me and Ma when we'd met before. Having a cup of tea, of course. Which is what we did then. We sat down and she put the kettle on. She poured out the tea, and we had a little chat. And I explained to her everything that had happened with the fairies, with the fairy army. "What am I going to do, Ma? You usually help me with these things, when things go wrong and, we can't work out a song or we've got an album to record. I usually come to you and ask you. But what do I do about this? How can I get the humans to listen to me? How can I get Kit Oberon to believe that the humans are going to change?" She said, as she dunked in one of her Garibaldi's biscuits into her tea and munched it on her big, it would be up here, wouldn't it, her snout. "The thing is," she said, "is that the person who told you this was a king, and I think you might need someone like a king to give them the promise." Wow, I know just the person, I thought. And I quickly said, "Thank you, Ma," shook her wing, because I couldn't find her hand, and ran off and jumped back in to the mushroom. And off we went again, flying away. See? "Where are we going?" Dad said. "London." I said, "London's the place to go." "What, even now with all what's going on up there?" Well, that's a different story. Anyway, we flew up to London. It didn't take us long in a ship, especially the wind, luckily, was blowing the right way. Anyway, we got to London. Simon, looking out of his big telescope, he could see lots of places. What are different places in London? We could see the Big Eye, that big kind of thing that goes round and around in the River Thames. A big, what is it? Some kind of what is it, Daisy? A spinny thing.
Wheel. Yeah,
big wheel. That's it, a big wheel. We saw that. We saw the Houses of Parliament, still there. And we saw the marvellous sights, Tower Bridge, all those lovely places that you can see, but we saw them from above. It looked beautiful. The sun was just starting to rise. We only had till sunset to get this promise that we needed. That's where we need to go, I said, and pointed towards Buckingham Palace. Land it right there, I said to Dad. What? In the garden of Buckingham Palace? He said, are you stupid, boy? He said, what do you think's gonna, what do you reckon will happen? Anyway, it was too late. We was on our way. We got closer and closer and closer, and he landed it right into the grass in the middle. And all those funny guards with the funny long hats that are like furry on the top, what they call beef eaters. Don't know why they're called beef eaters. I think most of them are vegan. Anyway, they ran up. They ran up and all surrounded us, pointing their spears at us. Some of them even had guns. Oh dear, what was going to happen? The day's getting worse and worse. 1 minute I've got an army coming marching up the garden, and the next minute I'm being surrounded on the, by the Queen's guards. What are you doing? What are you doing here? They were all screaming and shouting, and it was all getting crazy and crazy and crazy. Anyway, suddenly they all went quiet. And guess who appeared in the middle of them all, with her crown half on? Oh, Queen Elizabeth herself, the Queen. Pixie Mikey, she said, from a distance. And all the guards just got out the way. Is that you? I haven't seen you for ages. You still owe me some of them mushrooms you promised me. Anyway, she called us all in. We went and sat in. And we went, she decided to put on a big breakfast for us. So obviously, Lee and Simon were having a brilliant time because they were, feasting well. And I had a good old chat with her about what the problem was. I've been feeling the same thing, she said. This, I feel like, maybe the fairies and the humans could join together and be friends. And then, as friends, they could slowly look after the planet together. Well, what an idea, I thought. But I don't think that if I go back and tell Oberon that he's going to believe that I even met you. So why don't you come along with me? So the Queen and a bloke, what's he called? Philip or something? Fred? Or, he came along as well. We all ran up, got inside the mushroom. There we go, but the Queen's in it this time. There we went off, and we went off back up. Landed in the garden of Toadstool HQ, ran through. The Queen had a quick cup of tea with, we always have a cup of tea in the middle of it all. Had a quick cup of tea, had a little chat with Donna and stuff. And then we went down to the bottom of the garden and saw King Oberon and Queen Titania again. And that was the day, this year, on May Day, that the Queen did a deal with King Oberon. So Queen Lizzie, the deal that she did with Oberon was that in a year and a day from that day, so May the 2nd, that if the humans have to look after the planet, we have to clean it up, we have to do all those good things that we need to do. We need to stop driving about all the time. We need to stop flying about all the time. We need to throw our rubbish in the bins. We need to not pollute the sea. We need to do everything we can to make this planet good for all the animals that live on it. And that's the deal that our Queen, on May of this year, did with the King and the Queen of the Fairies. So that's how long we've got. Just a year to sort it out. So maybe if you could come to a fairy festival or event and come and meet us and we'll all gather together, join together, the humans and the fairies, like we said, and we can look after this beautiful planet. Well, that's it from my story. I've been Pixie Mikey from Pixiephonic. I hope you liked it. Maybe do another one at another time. See you later. So, Faerie and Fae World UK, goodbye.